Welcome into the Dude Wipe Studio here at the South Point Hotel Casino in lovely Las Vegas. It's Gone Racing with Jeff Motley and Brendan Gaughan.
Again.
I'm glad to be back this week after taking a hiatus last week to go on a little golfing excursion. And I'm kind of glad we're both on the air since about 5 seconds before we went on the air, you and I were talking about something else and totally forgot that the show was starting. So
we are definitely professional and professional, Jeff. We do that through and through in the studio. And yeah, we were literally 5 seconds and all of a sudden we hear from behind the curtain now.
5 seconds.
Ann goes, oh hell, 5 seconds.
Yeah, so it's time to put our laptop. Well, you keep your laptop out. But time to stop looking at the baseball scores and get moved. I know we were actually doing research.
We were.
The show.
We were talking about Connor Zilic. And when we get in the show, we'll talk a little bit about how Connor Zilic has a little more love than we were expecting Connor Zilic to have. So we were researching some Connor Zilic starts this season.
Yeah, so you're going to have to carry us here a little bit in the first segment because Iowa was last week.
Yes, it was.
And, it was a good win for William Byron. I know that there was a gas mileage thing. I was hoping that I would be able to watch said race on my flight home from Idaho. I was in Idaho. I heard everybody thought I was in Cabo. I was not. I
think Futrell said you were Cabo, actually.
Well, how would Futrell have known where I was?
Okay. And take the blame for that one.
And our producer told Ron that I was. Which Cabo, Coeur d'Alene, they both start with a C. And that's about where the similarities end. One's got a big ocean. One's got a big lake.
Yeah. They both have golf courses. That's what you were probably doing.
And my lousy golf swing goes to both. So
there you go.
There you have it. So.
Iowa last week was it was an interesting show. We had our guy Ron Futrell fill in for us, and we did talk about Iowa. And it was the Iowa race. You and I were texting. I was really bummed with 70 laps to go. I was texting you. You were in the air saying you couldn't watch it, and I said, well, I was really bummed because 70 laps to go. I was 5 for 5.
But they don't pay with 70 laps to go.
Cash.
And I think there was a lot of guys in the race that sound like they thought they were in a better spot, not expecting William Byron to make it all the way on fuel.
Listen, he made it on fuel, which they once again the how well these guys, these fuel mileage that I think we've
seen this a few times this year in back-to-back weeks. I believe Bubba Wallace the week before.
But the guy we talked about, Ron and I talked about it last week, and Jeff, you and I have talked about it a lot this season. I compared Martin Truex Jr.'s results with his history at short tracks at Richmond and, Iowa, not many data points, and once again, Chase Briscoe now is following the trend of Martin Truex Jr. We almost can take that to the bank now that Chase's stats follow Martin's. And then RFK last week, dude, Brett Keselowski winning stage 1, winning stage 2, finishing third in the race. Ryan Preece top 5.
The 2 in the top 5.
They are absolutely looking to start coming here. And then even Austin Dillon, RCR car, the top 10, but a great race. William Byron did win it, did do a great job. I talked a little bit about Bubba Wallace last week, and he followed that up for me, got another top 10 finish. So, a lot of guys here on a lot of tears.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
a guy off the schneid with William Byron.
Yes. It's interesting. William Byron always starts hot. And then we have a summer swoon.
Didn't somebody else used to do that same thing?
Joey Logano?
Jimmy Johnson. Didn't he?
And Joey Logano most recently has done that. Well, Joey actually hadn't started hot, but he's always gotten hot at the end. One thing, you talk about Byron too, though. There's not a smoother racer really than Byron. I mean, Byron, he doesn't get in trouble very often. He's a very smooth driver. He's a smart driver. But, you mentioned the Briscoe thing and following the footsteps of Truex. I thought it was really interesting at the start of the season when Briscoe said, I just can't figure out their setups. I can't get comfortable in these cars.
We've talked about it multiple times on the show.
But I think what we found with James Small, I don't think James Small changed. I think Chase Briscoe did.
I think, in my opinion, I think they both did a little. They know how good those cars were, and Chase knew how good those cars were. He knew he had to adjust to what James Small and Joe Gibbs did. But at the same time, I think James is smart enough. He's been around long enough. You have to get on the driver's side. You have to give little bits here and there, whether it was a different gas pedal, whether it was a different location for the shifter, whether it was the leg boards being different. They changed just enough.
But the fundamental handling of that race car, Gibbs was the proven entity here.
And Chase knew
Briscoe was the unproven person. So I think Chase also being a younger guy, a guy who knew he needed to adapt. Look, and I've been saying,
a guy that knew that his career needed to adapt, otherwise he was done.
Well, and I've been saying this for the last 6 to 8 weeks. I think Chase Briscoe is as much of a title contender as anybody. And I think when you look at that Gibbs team right now, would it shock me to see 3 out of the 4 drivers go to Phoenix with a chance to win? Would not be shocked at all.
I would not either. And when we get to that part of the show, I think we're going to laugh about Chase Briscoe's odds, and you and I will both agree with the same thing when we get there.
Well, and speaking of odds, let's look at the odds that we had that William Byron delivered last week. He was plus 800 to win, plus 250 for a top 3. 3 head-to-heads over Bell, Larson, Blaney. He was 155, 140, and 120. He brought Chevy home at a plus 140, and oddly enough, Byron was left out of the groups last week. He did not have a group, so he didn't cash in anywhere there. But if you bet William Byron last week, he made you some cash.
No, and the head-to-head over Seabell, which we were talking last week, me and Ron, about going the don't line on Seabell. There was all these numbers on Christopher Bell that I felt were just way out of whack. And so plus 155 on a head-to-head. I think, Jeff, a little foreshadowing again, there might be a head-to-head that involves William Byron this week that you and I might be really excited about as a foreshadowing.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the top 10 there. Chase Briscoe did place second. He was a plus 500. And you also talked about the RFK. And Brad Keselowski was a 10-1.
Double digit.
For a top 3. Got a 3. And I think Brad Keselowski had to believe with maybe 100 laps to go. He was really a little bit in the catbird seat. He had used great pit strategy, the fuel mileage. I don't think anybody really thought Byron was going to be able to actually make it all the way. So tough break for Keselowski because the RFK crew is really, really trying to get at least one car into the playoffs here right now. So talk about the rest of the top 10. You mentioned Priest, Bubba, strong run. Alex Bowman, another good run. Carson Hocevar, top 10 run.
He actually came through the field on that last run. He did a nice job getting up through there. He did well. And Dylan with a good top 10. They needed that. To get a run over there at RCR. Well, but that guy in 7th, what's his name again?
Alex Bowman. Mm-hmm. Has he won? That's all I'm saying. Has he won?
Just saying. I just want to hear Jeff Motley once again. Alex, love you. Kevin Hamlin, your spotter, Hambone, love you.
Jeff Motley. Don't listen this like that. By the way, we should be pointed out that the guy you picked had the most disappointing year has made the playoffs. Okay,
who did I pick?
You picked Chastain.
I forget.
And sometimes I think that. I don't know if you picked that with your head or your heart, but that's another story.
I forget who it was. I don't remember. I don't recall.
Well,
I don't think there's tape of that.
Well, this is a gambling show, so let's
get that.
Let's talk about who won for our gamblers in the group matchups last week. Ryan Blaney won Group A. He was a plus 255. You and I at least got one right this week. We both picked Chase Briscoe. And let me tell you, I've been betting Chase Briscoe almost every week for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I've won on him just about every time. So
he's our new Chris Buescher.
I am in on the Chase Briscoe bandwagon. He did win Group B at plus 280. Alex Bowman won Group C and delivered for Pit Crew, as we'll talk about at the end of the show here in Group C. Brad Keselowski with his strong run, a plus 335, huge number there. Coming home in Group D.
This is like the 3rd week in a row a Group D guy has been a top 5 winner. Like Group D has been pretty solid.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, it was a bad beat for me because
Wallace,
I had Bubba Wallace in that group, and he finished
D.
6th, and he doesn't. Gosh almighty, you get the guy finishing 6th, and he's in Group D, and you can't win. I mean,
that's
give me
tough
a break. And then Austin Dillon, another guy was over 300, a plus 305. Winning in Group E, and then Michael McDowell, who's been running better, been running consistent lately. Group
27th.
Plus 280. Well, he did win his group.
He did.
It took a 27th. Group at 27. Yeah, well, maybe he didn't have such a good week last week. But hey,
hey,
you know what?
He
cashed a ticket, and Bubba Wallace didn't, and Bubba finished 6th.
That's what I mean. It doesn't matter. You just had to beat the 4 in your group, which is why we love talking about NASCAR and sports betting.
All right, now let's take a look at our standings right now. And Brendan, we have 13 different winners. We only have 3 races left in the regular season.
Can't beat the 6th. Everybody that wins is in.
So right, you win, and you're in right now.
But that cut line sure can change.
And the interesting thing right now about the cut line, and we talked about the RFK, is the guy at the bottom of the cut line, who by the way is 40 points behind the next guy in front of him.
But he's hot right now.
I'm talking about Chris Buescher though right now. He's 40 points behind the next guy. He's the guy on the cut line, and the guy chasing him is Ryan Priest, his teammate, who's 23 points back. So if you're RFK, now granted, we know 2 of these last 3 races,
Daytona and Watkins Glen, and AJ Allmendinger is still one of those that has not won.
AJ Allmendinger,
he is always a danger this week.
Michael McDowell is a guy who's danger, and at Daytona, everybody's a danger. So we're looking right now, and look, other than Ryan Priest, I don't think there's anybody left that
Kyle can't make up 74 points.
No. Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs. Anyone? I mean, look, Ryan Priest is the only one that can point his way in right now.
I agree.
So it'll be really curious to see how that one how that one shakes out. And taking a look at our upcoming schedule, we have 3 races left in the regular season. So we got the road course at Watkins Glen. Then we're going to go to Richmond, which is very similar to Iowa.
Yep.
A very similar track there. And then we end our regular season with the night race at Daytona. By the way, back-to-back Saturday night races, Richmond and Daytona. And then we begin our playoffs Labor Day weekend at Darlington. And then we head out to Gateway Worldwide Technology Raceway. Our buddy Chris Blair out there. I think I just saw he got Bill Murray is going to be his grand marshal. So
he pulled something out of a hat there. How he did that? Way to go! He beat LA. He got Bill Murray.
I will say this, that is probably going to be a very unique command to start engines.
It could be a special one. It could be special.
So what do you like about the way these last 3 races set up here?
What I like is right now, if you're talking the playoffs, which is what we're, the important stuff here for these teams, a lot of pressure. You got a road course that can get a guy, look, SVG, absolutely, we know he's the favorite.
And I think this week, a lot of pressure on him to win because he needs to pack the points as much as he can before that first series.
Absolutely. So you got that. Then you got a Daytona. So every one of these guys we talked about at the end of this cut line, Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman, Tyler Reddick, without a win, all 3 of them to me need to be nervous. Because all it takes is an A.J. Allmendinger to sneak in there, a Michael McDowell to win Daytona, a Justin Haley to win Daytona. And now you're talking the cut line is Tyler Reddick and Alex Bowman. And it could get nasty these last couple races.
Yeah, I think Reddick's pretty safe there because I think Daytona and Watkins Glen are the only 2 that we could really see an upset.
Short track.
And Reddick's got a huge gap.
Remember Austin Dillon last year at Richmond, how great he was last year. Came out of nowhere.
Well, he did come out of nowhere. Didn't
he was there.
Didn't end well in the end, but
he was there.
That's kind of the way it ended up.
He was there.
All right, well, we're really excited about these last 3 races we got and then getting ready to get started in the playoffs. But right now it's Watkins Glen, and we come back on Gone Racing. We'll start giving you all the odds for the Glen. Welcome back to the Dude Wipe Studio here at the South Point Hotel Casino. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan, talking all things Watkins Glen on Gone Racin this week. And by the way, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go on there and subscribe. Some great content. And we do.
Well, we call it great.
We call it great content.
We think it's great, but we also think we're great. So kind of works.
We have had a couple of critics on Twitter, although I will say this. The one guy who was ragging on your picks and you went and got like 3 out of 4 right the very next week. I was like, whatever you do, don't poke the bear.
Don't poke the bear.
Don't poke the bear. And Brendan is the bear right now. In fact,
I also look like doesn't work on Sirius. You don't see the chest hair.
No, but if you're watching on Sirius,
I can undo a couple buttons. I grew up in Vegas. I mean, I had a Caesars medallion. I grew up with a Caesars Palace medallion.
He stays warm in the winter. Let's just put it that way.
But it burns me in my career.
Okay, and now let's talk about Watkins Glen.
Fireproof. Fireproof.
Okay. All right. All good. Now we got we've had a lot of races where we went to the Brickyard. We only had like 3 guys in the Brickyard who actually had a win.
Yep.
On the Brickyard. But here at Watkins Glen, we've got 8 different drivers in this race who have won at Watkins Glen, including 3 multiple winners. So to try to narrow down and say somebody has an advantage, and look, we know SVG on a road course. Okay, we'll put him over to the side for a minute. A lot of guys that have run well here. Absolutely.
And what I look at when you look at the list that we got, if you're watching, like you said, on the YouTube channel, a lot of guys with wins, a lot of them in Chevrolets. You look at Chase Elliott. A couple years ago, we were talking about Chase Elliott being the best road course racer in our sport. He's got 2 wins here, 4 top 5s in 8 starts, 50% top 5. You look at some of these guys, you go all the way down the list. William Byron's got a win in 6 starts, 3 top 10s. A.J. Allmendinger has got a win in the 13 starts, with 8 of them being top 10. So, I mean, A.J. Allmendinger, even a guy like that is dangerous here. But what I do notice, and this matters to the bettors, Jeff, all these guys we're talking about, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, the Dinger, Byron, they all drive
Chevys.
Chevrolets.
But I also want to point out, Kyle Busch won his races driving
in a Toyota. But he's in a Chevy now.
Denny Hamlin's got a win in a Toyota. And the one guy that's not on this list because he's not in the race, who's also got some wins in the Toyota, Martin Truex Jr. And we're going to have Chase Briscoe driving in that car now. And we've been talking about this for weeks.
And we've said, we started the show talking about Chase Briscoe following Martin Truex stats. the number one point getter in the last 10 races at Watkins Glen International?
Probably Martin Truex Jr.
Martin Truex Jr. with 6 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and a win in the last 10 races.
Doesn't he have an advantage because this was his hometown track? If you don't know, folks, we have the running joke that every track east of the Rocky Mountains.
You used to say Mississippi.
Well,
no.
Once Martin Truex Jr. went to race for Furniture Row Racing in Colorado, he had everything.
That's right.
It was always the funniest thing. It kept calling everything was his home track. Pocono, Watkins Glen, New Hampshire,
Chase
Dover.
Briscoe in 4 races at Watkins Glen, 2 of those for Chase Briscoe are top 10s. So you have a track that Chase Briscoe already was good at. With the Martin Truex stats, when you get to the odds to win here, Mr. Motley, I may be interested to see what Chase Briscoe
And
ends
I think you could make the case that this is the best race car that Chase Briscoe's ever gone to Watkins Glen with.
I don't think that would be much of a case.
Exactly. So, all right, let's get into our odds to win. And Brendan, this is as low of an odd to win on a driver as I believe I have seen. And that is the one and only Shane Van Gisbergen is plus 150 to win the race. Whew. And then in what I consider a pretty big surprise, our second favorite is Connor Zilisch, making only his 4th Cup start of his career and only his 2nd road course start. He's a plus 700. Then we have Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and Christopher Bell at 10-1, William Byron 14, Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher, Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, and Michael McDowell at 16-1, and then Chase Briscoe 18-1.
Well, and that's why we started the show joking about Connor Zilisch with all the love for Connor. He did start COTA. He was running well at COTA, but he got into a wreck and finished dead last at COTA.
As you like to call it, a Hasselhoff.
A Hasselhoff. And so that's a lot of love for Connor Zilisch. Now, has he done an amazing job in the Xfinity Series? Is he absolutely dominating these things? 100%. But do you think Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott are going to put up with that? Do you think William Byron and Christopher Bell are going to just put up with that? No.
And look, these cars are different. There is a big difference in driving.
His teammate, SVG.
Correct.
So you're talking about the kid that's dominating in the lower ranks with the teammate of SVG. So, I mean, yes, there is some stuff there, but I just don't see him being plus 700. And you got a lot of things that have to go right to make these things right. But SVG at plus 150? I'll take it.
Well, and he's probably, and like, I don't know, and maybe I should know since I'm trying to do a show that's actually on the radio here, but I'm not so sure that he's going to have a pit crew that's quite to the level of the others because they don't run that team every week. So they're certainly not going to be it's probably an Xfinity Series team, I guess, that's probably going to pit that. But a lot of the Xfinity cars are pit by Cup teams. So I just don't know what that whole setup is going to be right there. And I just think making him the next guy in line. But anyway, also looking at that list, you give me 18-1 on Chase Briscoe, and how about 16-1 on the guy who won the race last year? Chris Buescher won this race last year. 16-1.
16-1 for Chris, 16-1 for the Dinger, 14-1 for Byron, 10-1 for Chase, 10-1 for Kyle Larson. It wasn't all that long ago we were talking about Kyle Larson being, the best road course racer again, and even Christopher Bell 10-1. The best point getter on all road courses in the last 10 races. 8 top 10, 6 top 5s, 1 win. Christopher Bell.
Unfortunately, who's been the best point getter on road courses this year?
That'd be SVG.
And see, that's the problem. That's the problem with betting any of these guys is SVG, we know he has to have a problem.
I would love to say what I said at Sonoma, which is I didn't think he would have as big of his advantage because and he absolutely made me eat this hat for saying that. I will say the same thing again. This is a course that's been NASCArized, so the precision that makes SVG such a great road racer is not as necessary there.
But I believe Watkins Glen is more of a road racing track, than Sonoma.
I do.
And the way he went to Sonoma and the way he went to Mexico City and Chicago, he's got to have a problem not to win it.
I don't disagree. He finished second last year in this race. Only led 1 lap, but he finished second to Chris Buescher last year in this race.
Well, and keep in mind, he didn't run but a handful of Cup races, and now he's gotten more comfortable in this car. So hard to pick against him there. Okay, our longer odds here are Ross Chastain is 25-1. Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Carson Hocevar, and Kyle Busch are all 50-1. Joey Logano, Ryan Preece, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric at 60. Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski 100-1. And the field is 30-1. Denny Hamlin has won twice. Has he won twice at Watkins Glen?
This is the South Point. This is the South Point.
Denny Hamlin has one win, 9 top 10s in 18 starts. 100 to 1. Now I'm not picking Denny to win.
Here's the deal.
But 100 to 1.
Last 10 road races, Denny has 9 starts, 1 top 5. Okay. You go Watkins Glen, last 10 races, 5 top 5s and 10 starts.
He's 100 to 1.
This is one of his better road courses in the last, what have you done for me lately?
Shane Van Gisbergen has a flat tire, blows an engine. Denny Hamlin's got as good a chance to win this race as anybody. He's 100 to 1.
I'm looking at this going, the South Point, you're taking a risk on some of these odds.
Well, this is one of those things. Wouldn't you love to have in-race betting? If can you imagine the odds change if Van Gisbergen dropped out of the race?
Yeah, if SVG drops out, the numbers would change drastically.
Oh yeah, everybody's going to be 3 to 1.
But Denny Hamlin 100 to 1, it's worth putting. Boy, it's Denny Hamlin. It's Denny freaking Hamlin. It's worth for me to walk downstairs right now, put $5. That's $500 for 500.
Yeah,
I mean, I might even do that today.
Yeah, that's pretty steep. Okay, let's move along to our top 3s. And we'll chuckle when we see the top 3 on our man Shane Van Gisbergen. He is a minus 230 to get a top 3. Now, one reason I'm going to tell you why that's a lousy bet, because it's not like last year when he ran 5 races, right? He's either winning or he's not finishing in the top 20. I said it at Sonoma. I said it at Mexico City. Yep. I said it at Chicago.
Don't bet.
And what he did, he went, do not bet the top 3. Minus 230, Shane Van Gisbergen. Then we have Connor Zilic is plus 110. Kyle Larson, 175. Those numbers are really small on the screen. It's a good thing I can see well with my glasses, by the way. Byron is plus 275. There we go. That's much better. See, ask and you shall receive. Christopher Bell is a plus 300. Michael McDowell, 400. Chase Elliott is 450. Kyle Busch, 500. Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, AJ Allmendinger at 550. Chase Briscoe's plus 600. Ty Gibbs is 7. Carson Hocevar, Alex Bowman, 10 to 1. Daniel Suarez, 12 to 1. Logano's 15 to 1. Cindric, 18. Ryan Blaney, interesting, 20 to 1. Blaney, I think, he's 50 to 1 to win. Wow, 20 to 1 on Ryan Blaney for a top 3.
No, and Blaney 3 top 10s in last 8 races here. That's not a terrible bet, but I looked at that right off the bat and I'm screaming, you're going to give me Christopher Bell at plus 300. You're going to give me Chase Elliott at plus 450. You're going to give me Tyler Reddick at 550 or AJ Allmendinger at 550 or Chase Briscoe at 600. There is I may be very heavy. We looked at the group matchups earlier. We weren't really all that exciting. I may have a couple top 3s here. There's a bunch of guys I could bet top 3 here.
Well, seeing that 20 to 1 on Ryan Blaney is very, very interesting. All right, let's get to our longer odds on top 3s here. Denny Hamlin, we talked about just a minute ago. He is 22 to 1. Ryan Preece, 25 to 1. Brad Keselowski, 28. Todd Gilliland and Bubba Wallace at 40. Bubba Wallace, who's run a little better on road courses, even though he really kind of had a negative attitude. I think that's changed a bit. Zane Smith, Noah Gragson, Eric Jones, 50 to 1. Justin Haley, John Hunter Nemechek, and Cole Custer at 70. Josh Berry, Austin Dillon, 80. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 100. Ty Dillon and Riley Herbst at 150. Cody Ware at 200. Catherine Legg, Josh Balicki, and J.J. Yaley all at 250. One thing I'm noticing here, we don't have that influx of the Kiwis or the Australians and some of those drivers that we've seen. Joey Hand, we've seen Will Brown, some of those guys. We don't see them in this race. Catherine Legg, who I think she had a top 20 at Indianapolis.
She did.
Didn't she?
She had a great
run for her. So some new names in there.
No, and we don't have. We have a few of the teams showing up this weekend. There are 40 spots, so they did fill the field. But if you give me those names right there, the Denny Hamlin jumps out at 22 to 1. Once again, you don't want to bet him to win, but it's still Denny Hamlin. 5 top 5s in the last 10 races at Watkins Glen. That's a pretty strong schedule right there. Brad Keselowski, we always talk about him being good, but
I see those. Look, going back to the win number, the Denny Hamlin numbers. Really just kind of leave me shaking my head a little bit. I think
that's a good number on that second page.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy.
It's Denny Hamlin on the second page.
Right. It's Denny Hamlin on the second page. Good point. Okay. Be back on Gone Racing. We'll get into our driver head-to-heads, and we'll start our group matchups. Welcome back to the Dude Wipe Studio here at the South Point Hotel Casino in beautiful Las Vegas. It's Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan, Gone Racin.
Do we normally come back with me laughing? Like, do the SiriusXM listeners, do they just hear me laughing at every time we come back from a commercial break?
They probably think I have great jokes and that I tell them off the air.
We're funny looking. If you watch the Gone Racin YouTube channel, we're funny looking. So, I mean, that works, but yeah. I do come in. I just realized I'm normally laughing. It's normally Ann or somebody from the back.
I'm not even sure what you were laughing at this time.
Just Ann with her one.
Oh, well, okay. Oh, there we go. See? Then we just have strange noises coming from the background.
It's better than last week when she yelled, "No stories, Ron! No stories!"
I'm sorry I missed that.
It's funny.
Said no one. Okay. So we are. Where are we? Watkins
Glen, head-to-heads.
The Finger Lakes region of New York.
The Go Bowling at the Glen.
The Go Bowling.
Can you use your Finger Lakes to go bowling at the fingers in the ball? Yes, that pun didn't work. That pun didn't work. All right, let's just go to head-to-heads,
You know why
please.
they call it the Finger Lakes region? Because there are all these skinny little lakes up there, and they look like fingers on a map. Did you know that?
There you go.
I bet you did.
Let's go to head-to-heads.
Okay. Just trying to drop some knowledge on you. All right. Well, now we don't specifically talk. Now, look, I've been kind of a little bit down on Connor Zilich's love here. Now, first off, let me point this out. Connor Zilich is probably going to be a superstar in this sport for the next 30 years.
Yes.
You're going to hear about him. He's going to win championships. He's probably going to win Xfinity Championship this year. He's 18 years old? Has he even turned 19 yet?
Look,
the guy's going to win Cup championships. Don't get me wrong.
Looks phenomenal.
But this is his fourth Cup start. It's his second one on a road course, if you want to call it that.
And he dominates road courses
and he is extremely strong on these courses. I get that. But this car is a different beast. And his only time on a track like this, in this car, resulted in a crash. That's all I'm saying. So there are a lot of heavy hitters that are going head-to-head against Connor Zilich. William Byron is plus 130. Kyle Larson is plus 105. Chase Elliott is plus 105. Man, I just don't see giving him that much love in driver head-to-head.
You're telling me Kyle Larson, who arguably has been
Christopher Bell also is 105. I forgot Seabell.
Chase Elliott, Seabell, and Larson are all 105s, and Byron is a 130. And I'm sorry, just that you're telling me Hendrick Motorsports, and Joe Gibbs. You know, I get it, but the don't line to me is a big bet. And William Byron at 130. I gave you the stats earlier. William Byron at Watkins Glen, he's only got those 6 starts, 3 of them being top 10s. I think that William Byron bet is a great bet right there. He's got to win, you know.
Well, and look, if you're in love with William Byron, he's not only plus 130 against Zilich. He's getting 115 on Larson. He's getting 115 on Elliott. And 115 on Christopher Bell.
I don't know if I like him over Larson or Elliott. I think they're better road racers than him. But against the Zilich, where the guy's he's won here recently. He's, you know, I think that's a good bet right there. It's the most return. I also like a couple of those 105s. The only problem that I have with those 105s, which one do I take? I'll
take them all.
I could
take them all.
I might.
I'm just saying, you know, my don't line on Christopher Bell wasn't so good last week, but. And he didn't even finish that well. No, which was even really
guys
bad,
we bet on didn't.
All right, let's take a look at get into our group matchup. So we have 3 guys all tied at the top here in Group A, and that's Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and Christopher Bell at plus 255, and William Byron at plus 310.
300 teammates in a Gibbs car, and to me, I bet Group A a couple times recently. Right, I've actually won a couple Group A picks recently, but I got to put the X up. Between these 3, no SVG, between these 3, I can't pick between them because these are all 4 guys that I like for a top 3, and I can't separate between them.
Well, and I tell you, the 310 on Byron is enticing.
Yeah.
And I do like the 310.
But not against the guys he's with. Can't.
And I think the problem is I think the second and third positions in this race are very likely going to come out of this group. And I think it's going to be very, very difficult to differentiate between them. If there's probably one that I don't like as much, it's probably Bell in this group here. But I do like the Byron at plus 310. Not saying that I'm going to go bet it, but I think that's a pretty good number there. So, all right, let's take a look at Group B. And so it's important to note, if you're watching us on the YouTube channel, that our numbers are typically put in the order of where the odds were when they open. And the odds tend to change as people bet. So if somebody bets a lot on somebody, you're going to see their odds get smaller. So the way that they are listed right now is in order is Reddick, Buescher, Gibbs, and Zilich. However, the odds have changed since the opening odds, and Connor Zilich is now a heavy favorite in Group B at plus 175. Chris Buescher is keeping his spot at plus 310. Tyler Reddick and Ty Gibbs have moved to plus 315. And I am going to bet, I don't know what the opening lines were, but there's been so much action on Zilich at plus 175. It's probably driven those numbers up. I mean, honestly, go bet Reddick, Buescher, and Gibbs. You bet all three of them.
You
got a chance to win money.
You're still winning.
As long as Zilich doesn't win the group.
The problem I have with this is I do not like Zilich for this, but the problem I have is I like all... Chris Buescher won the race last year, been fantastic on road courses. We've talked about it. Ty Gibbs, remember how high I've been on Ty Gibbs since that Mexico City race?
All of a sudden they hit a little wall over the last
but the road courses, Ty Gibbs was spectacular. Won me a bunch of money this year betting on him, especially at the road courses. And then Tyler Reddick has been great on road courses. So the problem I have is I like all three of them at the 315 and the 310.
Bet all three of them.
I'm not going to win just a 0.01. Sorry, I can't do it. But
I'd love that for our battle.
Yeah, I know you would. I know you would. That's why I can't do it. So that's my struggle is which one do I pick? Honestly, I'd lead right now towards Ty Gibbs. What he's done this year on the road courses, I like a lot. And so I'd lean towards the Ty Gibbs. But other than that, I can't differentiate between any more than I would lean towards Ty Gibbs. Tyler Reddick right there too, though.
Well, and I actually am in complete agreement with you there. I'm not on the Zilich bandwagon in this group, but I'm with you.
Not against him, but
no.
The problem is I can't pick between the three of them, so I got to put it next.
I'm not taking Zilich at plus 175 against three very capable road
teams and drivers.
Exactly. All right, let's move along to our Group C here, where, again, we've got three guys all tied at the top here. A.J. Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, and Chase Briscoe are all plus 250, and then Ross Chastain farther down there, plus 335.
Yeah, and this right here, it bums me out that we got Chase Briscoe with the Dinger and McDowell, because these are guys that I would love to have seen them smattered in a couple other groups, right? Because you could have really maybe made some money there. Michael McDowell, if you go to the last 10 road races, he's got a win, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s. Pretty darn good there. Dinger, we always talk about Dinger, but this year, Dinger not been quite as, let's say, on point as we're used to seeing him here. So that kind of spooks me a little bit. That Chase Briscoe, man, we talked about it. He's got 2 of his 4 starts, top 10s, and you're telling me the Martin Truex stats on top of that? I kind of like that right there at the end. And finished second, at Sonoma just a few weeks ago, 2 SVG, had a couple shots on the restarts, remember, really looked good. I kind of like that Chase Briscoe there.
Well, when you use that term, what have you done for me lately? And a lot of times we use that in a negative term, like somebody that is
Kyle
not
Busch.
Right. Like we've used it for Kyle Busch, somebody who has not performed as well as you thought that they would. And so therefore you're going to stay away from them. Well, what have you done for me lately can also go the other way and be a guy that wins for you every week.
Chase
and you
Briscoe.
Keep going to the well until
Chase
that
Briscoe.
well runs dry. And
Chase Briscoe.
That is Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, to me,
killing it.
When I look at these 4 drivers here, but especially the top 3 with Allmendinger and McDowell, I see 3 very accomplished racers. Maybe McDowell and Allmendinger are a little bit better road course racer than Briscoe, but who's got the best car? Who's got the best crew chief? And who's getting better and better every single week he gets behind the seat? It's Chase Briscoe. I love Chase Briscoe in this group. And if for me, that's my lock of the week. I love Chase Briscoe here in Group
I would
C.
actually, sadly, Jeff, if I was to give a lock this week, it would also be the Chase Briscoe bet in Group C.
Well, it makes me feel good that you agree with me as you trail me in the standings. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. I love you, though. But I couldn't resist
I'm coming.
That. You kind of...
And when I get you.
Yeah, I know. But you kind of just set that on the tee for me, right?
Yeah.
You understand. It's like T-ball. And it wasn't even a curveball.
That was a T-ball shot.
Okay, yeah, you put that one on.
Let's go to Group D. Let's talk about your favorite driver.
Okay, you got me back there, I guess. All right, let's move along to Group D. In Group D, we have Alex Bowman as the favorite here, along with Ryan Blaney at plus 265. And then Carson Hocevar and Kyle Busch are both at plus 270.
Yeah, this is a tough one because Bowman has been the best of all these guys for most of the year, in my opinion. Ryan Blaney Blaney's okay, but Blaney just disappears. You know, when Blaney disappears, he disappears. When he shows up, he shows up. I want to say Kyle Busch the dog, but I don't know. I just not a lot of fun in this group for me. I can't give you anything that I like.
Well, you know, as we almost missed the start of the show because we were talking before the show started, one of the things we talked about off air, brought up, is the fact that the groups are the hardest this week, as hard as I have ever seen them. And I am in 100% agreement with you that when I look here, it's one of those groups where the
reason why it's 265, 270, because it's tough.
I can make a case for everyone, and I can make a case against everyone. You know, to me, I guess I'm kind of with you there. Blaney seems to be the guy that, I mean, he's been a pretty good road racer.
Yeah.
You know, so if I had to lean anywhere, I'd probably lean Blaney. But again, it's a group that I'm going to.
Kyle Busch at Sonoma finished 10th, which is what have you done for me lately? You know, he had a good run at Sonoma.
And look, he knows he's got to win.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to win the race, one of the next three. So it's the only chance he's got. All right, let's take a look at Group E, and Joey Logano is our favorite here at plus 245. Then one of the hotter guys, Ryan Preece, plus 250. Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric at plus 290.
You know, to me, this just screams right now, it's your reigning champion, Joey Logano. Finished 9th at Sonoma this year. You go back, look at road races. You know, he's been 4 top 10s in the last 10. Here he's got 1 win, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s in the last ones here. So I think Logano is your odds-on favorite right there, and he's the favorite on the board, but 245, it's a good return. I'd take it.
You know, I think the guy here, though, who's probably the hottest guy in this group right now is Ryan Preece. I think he might be the hungriest guy in this group right now. And, you know, Preece was having a great run at Sonoma, and he got kind of
finished 12th at Sonoma.
And that was with getting doored
and
basically getting T-boned up there in the was it turn 7 or whatever. So whatever, 7. Turn 11, it's one of those. You guys
messed the numbers up because you run a
I know you think I'll be able to keep up with those, but anyway, I like Preece here. I like Preece here, but not necessarily sure I'm going to bet it. All right, we got one segment left on Gone Racing. We'll be right back. Give you the last group pick and give you our picks. And yes, back again on Gone Racing at the Dude Wipe studio at the Southwind Hotel Casino.
Because
Jeff Molly, Brendan Gaughan. And yes, Brendan was laughing again when we came back.
Because Ann got there in time.
Because yes, Ann was trying to find a graphic or trying to find a camera. I don't know what it was.
Hit a button. She found the button in time.
You know, so it's nice. We like to surprise her with coming on the air, or she surprises us with turning the camera on when it's time to turn the camera on. So the folks on SiriusXM miss out on so much.
Yes, they do.
By not being able to watch it. Maybe it should be like, I would say maybe it should be like the Howard Stern show where you could actually watch it. But then again, Howard just got canceled. It sounds like
he's getting paid by Sirius as much as we are.
Yeah, that's about exactly right there. So he was getting paid a bit more.
Group F before we get
Maz,
boycotts.
That was Brendan who said that. Yeah. I just want to make sure he knows. So, all right, moving along to our final group here, which is Group F. And John Hunter Nemechek and Eric Jones are plus. Well, actually, let me do this around because we've had the odds have moved. So Todd Gilliland and Bubba Wallace are plus 265. They're the co-favorites. John Hunter Nemechek, Eric Jones, the two legacy teammates, are plus 270.
You know, the John Hunter, we've lost that streak of legacy cars every week. You know, that was happening for a while. But I do believe that John Hunter is probably in this group, the favorite for a reason. And I would, if I was to bet it, which I am not going to bet it, I would do John Hunter in this just because I think he's got experience in this. Bubba been getting better. Don't get me, and Bubba's riding a high right now. So I mean, if you know how I believe in momentum.
Bubba got some now.
So Bubba's got some. So if you want to take Bubba 265, I am not going to be against you. If you want to take Joe Nemechek plus 270, I'm not going to be against you. Todd and Eric just kind of run right down the middle there. They hit, 220 fairways, 230 fairways. Nice shots. They're going to run.
I would have taken that last week. By the way.
You probably would have taken that any week. But that right there is a tough group. Again, we said it. Group matchups this week, very difficult. John Hunter, Bubba would be my two favorites.
Well, I can't argue with you at all on that. And I probably like Bubba a little bit more than I do John Hunter.
Because I love momentum.
Right. And I think
Bubba,
it's because
Bubba is riding high, baby.
And Bubba's attitude for road courses has improved because he's run a little better.
He's quick going in there saying, A, I hate these places, I don't want to do it, or B, screw it. He's now coming in going, it's okay to finish 12th and be happy. and he's finishing 12th and 13th and 15th, and those are good, and that leads to top 10, top 9, top 8.
Well, and here's the other thing. If you look, all right, first off, he wants to be a championship-level driver, right? When you look at the schedule, and I got Watkins Glen, I got Sonoma, I got Chicago, I got Coda, I've got Mexico City. I mean, you got the Roval. I mean, you got a lot of races on road course. You either embrace them or you're not going to be a championship contending driver. I think Bubba has started to embrace those races. I was thinking, can you imagine we had this many road course races when Dale Earnhardt raced?
When I raced.
He
wish we did it when I raced.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Earnhardt hated road courses.
Yeah, that's why they didn't do them. He set the schedule back then. You kidding me?
I was just thinking about that. He would not have been happy. Of course, he wouldn't have liked the top 3 coming in the media center either if he finished second or third.
He wouldn't have.
So put that in after he was gone too. Yeah. Okay, well, that's all of our group matchups. Now, getting into our manufacturer pick, and this is almost as bad as SVG for a top 3. In fact, it's worse, I guess you could say.
Yes, it is.
Chevy is minus 400, and that throws not only SVG, but that's, of course, Kyle Larson, that's William Byron, that's Chase Elliott.
It's a whole lot of great race car drivers.
A whole lot of them. And huge numbers, though, if you believe in Reddick, if you believe in Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, a plus 450 for Toyota, and Ford's, Ford is plus 750. Brendan, what car won this race last year?
The car that won this race last year, Mr. Motley, would be Chris Buescher in a Ford.
So plus 750. Now, again, Chris Buescher did not have the same Shane Van Gisbergen to deal with.
But you still get Joey Logano. You still get Ryan Blaney.
But
you still get some good drivers.
Who you have to beat.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Larson and Elliott and those guys. I'm talking about SVG. Last year's SVG and this year's SVG he's figured out how to drive these cars, especially on road courses. He's gotten better on the other tracks as well, but especially on the road courses. So you might want to go there, but I, for one, am not going to touch the
450. Kind of worth it. I mean, got some good drivers in them.
Well, or 750.
Tyler Reddick, C. Bell, and Chase Briscoe at 450 on the Toyota. It's a good bet.
Or take Denny Hamlin at the plus 100.
That's right.
To win, right?
100 to 1. I'm betting that one in real life.
Exactly. All right. Not much to talk about with our championship odds.
The only one I want to focus on with this is that Chase Briscoe. He's still 16 to 1. And that is a huge, huge value, Jeff. If I'm a future bettor, I am hedging that number with Chase Briscoe all day long and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, when I see him sitting there at 16 to 1, and I also see Reddick at 16 to 1, I see Logano at 14 to 1. You can't tell me that those three have been the same over the last couple of months of the season.
No, and what does Logano do at the end of the season, and what does Penske do? They know how to get there. Joe Gibbs Racing, one of the best teams. Tyler Reddick is 23-11, still Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs Racing, Chase Briscoe, and Reddick. I love those three numbers. That's a great number to hedge off of for the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there, and I think the one probably that still just stands out to me a little bit is that Shane Van Gisbergen is 60 to 1.
Nobody believes the rest of it yet. But
I agree.
But you and I have talked. The way the playoffs roll out
this week, his point buffer, if he can just stay out of trouble
in the first round,
the first 3 rounds, the first three races of the first round, and then we know the Roval sits in the second round, and it's the closing race of the second round. And by the way, those playoff points carry over from round to round. So let's say he makes it through the first round, and then he wins the Roval.
He's in the round. He's in the third round. Right there.
With a lot of points.
Yes, with a big buffer. So at 60 to 1 is still a little high to me. There's great value there. I still think that everybody's thinking just like that. Hard to get to the finish line from that one. But there is value in that because he could shock the world with it.
Right. I mean, I just think that I'm just surprised that number hasn't gone higher. But just my thoughts. All right. So last week, we kind of had some tough losses.
I had five with 70 laps to go.
You had one
with
0 laps to go. But you and I got the same pick correct, and that was riding that Chase Briscoe train. I don't know which one was which. Did you have one that you thought was a really bad beat? I mean, I did with Bubba finishing 6th in the race and losing by 1 spot to Brad Keselowski and his group was probably my really, really bad beat. My really horrible pick was Christopher Bell for a top 3 and didn't get a top 10.
Mine was the Larson over Bell. He was there all day long, and then at the very end had that deal and ended up behind. So I was bummed about that. But
I had that Larson over Bell too, and that one didn't work out so well for me either.
Elliott top 3. He was running second and third. Like, anyway.
All right.
And the pit crew, they got Bowman, Group F,
Pit
Group
crew,
C.
They picked
the guy
Bowman.
You're not allowed to talk about in Group C.
They picked the man we don't mention.
Man, you don't mention.
That I don't mention.
No, you don't mention.
Yeah.
I talk about.
So season standings did not change very much. Still got about a 12-point lead on you there, and the pit crew is going to need to pick Denny Hamlin to win if they're going to
catch up very soon. So,
and just a little hint,
but still a lot of money for bettors. Still making a lot of money for bettors.
Yeah, hint foreshadowing. They're not picking him. So, and with that, I guess I will read.
You get the pit crew because they're still last.
The pit crew picks here. They are going. They're going against SVG though.
Okay, all right.
They're going with Chase Elliott to win, 10-1.
All right,
10-1.
I like that.
Good pick there. They're going with last year's race winner, Chris Buescher, to win his group at plus 310. They are, how you and I were riding the Briscoe train. They're riding the Bowman train.
Okay,
they're on the Bowman train. They got Alex Bowman, Group D, plus 265. They like my guy Ryan Preece, Group E at 250, and the Bubba Wallace pick in Group F. So honestly, I love the pit crews picks here.
They're going to a lot of groups that I'm not heavy groups.
A lot
this
of
week.
groups. I'm scared of the groups this week.
So I did get to pick last a couple weeks ago, and you of course have taken back over. So I will go back to my second spot, but don't get comfortable there in the lead again.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a cushion on you. Right now.
This could change this week. I am going to start with a top three like I always do, and I like that Chase Briscoe plus 600 for a top three. The ghost of Martin Truex and the talent of Chase right now. So I'm getting there. Then I'm taking two of the head-to-heads. I'm going don't line twice. I'm going don't on Byron versus Zilich at plus 130 and don't on Chase Elliott versus Zilich at plus 105. You can't leave those out there. I'm still torn with my last two because I want that SVG to win pick, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to double down with Chase Briscoe in Group C at plus 250. And then my last pick, I got to catch it, Jeff. If I bet Shane Van Gisbergen to win, I can't catch you. So I'm going Toyota plus 450. Bring it home. One of the bullets in the Toyota camp. Give me a plus 450. Bring it home. Bring it home, babies. Bring it home.
Okay. I can't believe I'm going to do this. You want to hear, now first off, you and I are going to have three of the same picks. I'm just going to tell you. But the two that we're different on, if you get them, they're big.
Okay, I got it.
They're big. I am going to go don't line on Connor Zilich.
You're taking three head-to-heads.
Four
head-to-heads.
So I am going.
Jeff is taking I'm playing the prevent defense.
Well,
we all know how that works.
I don't know if that's prevent defense.
Prevent it, baby. Prevent the defense.
So I've got Byron, Larson, Elliott, and Bell all against Connor Zilich.
All right.
I'm getting a plus number on all of those guys. Felt like I just had to do that.
Justin Marks, yeah. Hi, Jeff Motley.
Yep. Well, you went against him on two.
I'm just pointing out. Okay, gotcha.
You went against him on two of those. I'm just calling Justin.
I'm just calling Justin. A little track house call.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Tell Justin, go prove me wrong. Tell him, prove me wrong. And then I'm also going to agree with you in Group C. I'm on Briscoe until Briscoe gives me a reason not to be on Briscoe.
Like we used to be on old Chris Buescher. Right, I mean that was the thing back in the day.
Yes, I just Briscoe's the man right now. I mean, he's hard to beat.
Justin Marks,
calling
him right now.
Did you just put his phone number up?
No,
there on the
that's why I held it down here.
See, so,
I didn't want to put his phone number up the screen. Right. I'm not that bad, Justin. I promise. Okay. But yeah, I'm calling Justin, telling him that you're betting against him in like the biggest we've ever seen in Gone Racing. You did the biggest don't line in the history of the sport of our show.
And you might be right. So, but we'll see what happens. All right, 30 seconds left. Watkins Glen. Did you ever run there? Did you run well there?
Yeah, I had the lead, the Kodak car, and I choked in turn one back when they had pea gravel when it was a real racetrack.
Oh, that's right. Now you can run off the track and
I'd be the first one to admit.
Worry about. Little choke job.
Yeah, it's a choke job.
Okay,
we'll hop in turn one.
We won't talk about Brendan's failures at Watkins.
Don't find that one on the Gone Racin YouTube.
All right, that does it for us this week. We'll be back next week. We'll talk all about Watkins Glen and we'll preview Richmond.